Hello, friends. Rabbi Dean here on Wednesday, continuing all this week to speak about different blessings within Nisim B'chol Yom, that section of the morning liturgy which calls our attention to the wonders that surround us that we may have become used to or even overlook. And this morning I want to focus on the blessing that Mishkan Tefillah, or Sidur, translates as: Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who lifts up the fallen. In the sequence of moving from sleep to wakefulness, we can understand how lifting up the fallen relates to a moment of lifting yourself up out of bed and saying, now I begin the day. And it, of course, always has profound resonance for people whose bodies or spirits are deeply broken, who might not be able to lift themselves up physically or mentally or emotionally on that day or regularly. And I think for all of us who are staying at home, who are experiencing physical distancing in all its complexity, this bracha takes on a special resonance. Because although these days are filled with many things, the opportunity to slow down, to take stock, to clean up, to work on projects, to talk to friends, to sing, to do all sorts of wonderful things, they are also, for some of us, filled with despair, either moments of despair or periods of despair. Despair when we are overcome with fear for ourselves, for our loved ones, for the working poor, for the people who are out of work, for human society. There are times when we are overcome with despair. How are we going to get it all done? How can we accomplish the work we need to do while caring for the kids who are at home? How are we going to make a paycheck stretch? How can we keep going when we don't know when the next paycheck is coming? There are times when it is just overwhelming. And we are fallen. Crestfallen, emotionally fallen, and sometimes physically fallen when we plop ourselves down on the floor, head in our hands, wondering how we're going to make it through. And at moments like that, I am tempted to think, how dare I? How dare I feel that way? I am not living in India, where millions were suddenly without work and homeless and unable to return to their ancestral villages. I have a refrigerator with food. I have a home with ample space. I have a job. I have a family here with me. How dare I feel overwhelmed by the Zoom meetings, by the calls I may not get to return, by how to tend to my kid and keep him from watching YouTube all day long. And then I remember that emotions come and go. They come from the source of wherever they come from, and they fill us for a moment with delight, with pleasure, with hope, with sorrow, with despair. And then they travel on to wherever they will go next. We never own them. In fact, they don't come, I believe, from us. Our task is to allow them to inhabit us for as long as they wish, and to let them go when they wish to move on. Not to hold on to them, but rather to experience them in their fullness, whether they are classified as positive or negative, light or dark. To experience them, to know them, to allow them to live within us before we let them go to wherever they will move to next. And in so doing, we recognize that there is something, there are many things, much greater than us as individuals. That we are not responsible for our feelings. We are responsible for how we act on those feelings, but not for the feelings themselves and not for the situation in which we find ourselves now. So, in those moments of fallenness, physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, we can know that there is something greater than us who will lift us up once again once that moment or period passes. Knowing that it will end might allow us to feel it in all its depths richly, to know what it means to be fallen, knowing that we will, in time, be lifted up once again. Perhaps you'll join me in this morning's blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who lifts up the fallen. I hope that today, with all its highs and lows, holds some beauty and value for you. And I look forward to connecting with you again tomorrow.